Okay, I think we'll make a start now. So, as I said, my name is Andy. I'm the Partner Manager for Bytes. Thank you for joining our webinar this morning covering RingCentral's Cloud PBX for Microsoft Teams. At Bytes, we strive to bring you the most pertinent information from the most trusted sources. And we are joined today by RingCentral, a Gartner UCAS Magic Quadrant leader, with Marvin Tress, a sales engineer team leader, taking you through the webinar. A quick bit of housekeeping. During the webinar, you are muted, but you can submit questions at any time via the questions box at the bottom. There will be a question and answer session at the end, but we will try to answer any questions as we go through the webinar. The webinar recording will be made available to you. And afterwards, if you do want to discuss anything further or have any further questions, then please contact your Bytes account manager. I hope you enjoy, and I will now pass you over to Marvin. Thank you.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Struggling to find the mute button there. Hi, my name is Marvin Tress from RingCentral. I'm here to talk to you today about our story for Microsoft Teams and Microsoft in general, actually. Before I do that, a little bit about me. So I am, as I said, a solutions engineering team leader here in EMEA, working out of the London HQ, actually. Actually, globally, in a team of more than 150 solution engineers working with our customers, you guys, to help you with your communications solutions and services. I've been in the industry for a long time now, actually since day one of my career. I started out as a telephone engineer, so you know, I've been involved in the unified communications, contact center, collaboration, team collaboration, customer experience space for longer than I care to mention nowadays. So I'm just going to mute my camera now. Now we've introduced ourselves. I'm just going to turn my camera off so that you can focus on the presentation. So let's start with why. Why RingCentral Cloud PBX for Microsoft Teams? Well, there are multiple reasons, and I'm going to endeavor to explain just a few of those to you right now. First of all, advanced telephony for Microsoft Teams. This one is all about improving the Microsoft Teams user experience, and we do that at RingCentral in a few ways. First of all, many customers tell us that Teams is a great solution and has really helped them with their communications, internal communications. Equally, or even arguably more important, is external communications, you know, how you communicate with your customers. And your staff need to know that your customers can continue to contact you on their terms. Often this does still mean voice, you know, more often than not, you know, communicating in a way that your customers have got used to. And really any disruption in that customer experience can lead to unhappiness, unhappy customers, lost calls, etc. So in order to ensure that the customer experience isn't impacted, we provide with RingCentral Cloud PBX those enterprise-grade PBX features that your users have got used to. Our Cloud PBX was born in the cloud around 15 years ago and has been maturing ever since into what we see today, what we believe is the most powerful and flexible communications platform in the market. Secondly, on the Teams user experience, the employee's experience of Teams is improved. Because there's no added friction to your customer's journey with your organization, that employee experience is improved as well. Unhappy customers mean unhappy employees. So with RingCentral Cloud PBX, your employees know that the technology that is being used is not a factor that they need to consider or think about when communicating with your customers. They know it will do what they want it to do, what they've got used to it doing, so that they can continue communicating with your customers and focusing on their real job. Second up is all about availability and reliability. So, what about if you needed to increase your global footprint of Microsoft Teams from a telephony perspective, and with RingCentral Cloud PBX, we can actually do that in over 40 countries. By snapping RingCentral Cloud PBX into the Microsoft Teams desktop, your global coverage or footprint goes up dramatically overnight. There's no infrastructure to deploy or maintain. It's true cloud. It means you just spin up users from a web interface in seconds. All of that is built on a network with a 5 nines availability score, meaning that the RingCentral Cloud PBX will be there when you need it. Obviously, with this integration, you need the Teams desktop to be up to consume RingCentral Cloud PBX, and that isn't 5 nines in itself. But we'll talk a little bit more about reliability later, and how we can help you there. Number 3, native integrations with business apps. So many of you have chosen Teams as your communication tool of choice. When we discover with our customers, we often find other user groups that have slightly different requirements. And so we need to make sure that we cater for all of these different user groups and user types. I see 2 main user groups here. Firstly, so we talk a lot about where we work right now. For me, work is about apps. This is really where we work. That is how I prefer to think about when people talk about where they work. My first thought is an app. A building is, to me, it's just a place to sit and connect. You do your actual work in your software applications. So what about those users that do most of their work in other applications? Yes, they're Microsoft Teams users, but maybe they live in a CRM system because they're on a help desk, or maybe even contact center applications. Teams itself doesn't provide that functionality natively, and so what we see is users consuming multiple cloud services such as CRMs and contact center platforms. How do those users communicate from those applications in the same way? We don't really want them to have to jump between applications to be able to communicate. What we try and do at RingCentral is we put communications where you need to communicate. Secondly, users that do use Teams, but some of the users that we speak to, Teams isn't the communications app that they use most. Email is a really good example. Many of us spend a lot of time in email, sending and receiving, typing. How can you embed telephony into those kinds of applications? The Teams integration is a good example of what we're doing at RingCentral. We're not doing anything different with Teams as to really what we've been doing for years, and that's making third-party endpoints and applications to become an endpoint on the RingCentral Cloud PBX. We've actually got over 200 out-of-the-box integrations on the RingCentral App Gallery. Microsoft Teams is just one of them. These integrations are largely, just included in your subscription. All you need to do is click to download and start using them. Additionally, for any completely unique integration requirements, our API stack is available for you to build, well, whatever you like, really. The RingCentral platform is a completely open platform, and you can consume these services in any way that you like. Number 4 is all about analytics and data. So this one's really about staying ahead of the curve rather than trying to keep up. All of the calling data associated with Cloud PBX calls is stored within the RingCentral Analytics platform. The importance to me is, do not underestimate, from an analytics perspective, the importance of simplicity of use. In a previous life, I remember, and I was working with different technology at the time, I remember a customer told me that the analytics platform that they were using was amazingly comprehensive, but you literally needed a degree to get that information out quickly when they needed it. The RingCentral Analytics platform is not only super rich in data, but from a usability perspective, it's super simple, and it just allows your users to get to the data that they need in seconds, just a few clicks. And then finally, number 5, by providing telephony into Teams, your users, your Teams users, don't really need to think about how to use that service. In fact, they don't even know that the telephony is powered by RingCentral. Apart from the fact that it never goes down and it just does what they want, there is nothing else that suggests anything else is powering that voice experience. But more importantly, because there's no separate interface for users, it's really easy for them to just carry on using Teams without any retraining, really. It's just another service within the Teams desktop. So a very quick chart to highlight some of the key benefits that the RingCentral Cloud PBX for Teams can bring to your Microsoft Teams deployment. Enterprise PBX capabilities is really important. Our PBX, as I said earlier, has been maturing. Every quarter, we bring out new releases for our platforms like clockwork. We never skip a quarter. Those features are included in your subscription. There's nothing to upgrade. There's no servers to swap, all of that kind of stuff. It's all 100% cloud-based. But that level of telephony functionality is super rich because we've been developing it over a long time, because voice is really important to a lot of customers. Global footprint, we mentioned that earlier. Native PSTN in more than 40 countries. And what we mean by telephony within Teams is we start to think about compliance. How if the worst should happen and a user needed to call the emergency services, how does that work? Well, with RingCentral, all of the countries that we're native in, we bring full compliance for emergency services and other compliance issues such as GDPR, etc. Is all available in those 40 countries. So not only does your footprint go up to 40 countries overnight, but your compliance in those countries is watertight as well. Everything of the RingCentral Cloud PBX, everything we offer really is built on what we call the RingCentral network, which is totally resilient, totally robust. Everything is duplicated, routes in and out of data centers, north, south, pairs of routers, as you would expect, and that just allows us to guarantee our availability SLA of 5 nines with the RingCentral Cloud PBX. And then, some of the other additional applications that are included with the RingCentral Cloud PBX services, and that you have to add to your Microsoft Teams deployment is call recording. So you will just avail yourself of the ability to record voice calls by bringing Cloud PBX into Teams, and you'll get a richer analytics and reporting experience. All of these designed to, add and augment your Teams deployment. So what is the RingCentral Cloud PBX for Teams? What does it look like? What does it feel like? Well, what you have with RingCentral Cloud PBX for Microsoft Teams is a completely seamless integration. You might be using the desktop app. You might be using the mobile app. You may even be one of those envelope pushers who like to do everything in a browser tab. Whichever way you decide to consume Microsoft Teams, the Cloud PBX is always powered by RingCentral. Anywhere you go to call on any device using any call button within the app, that will go via the RingCentral network. Think 5 nines, think global footprint and availability, and think rich PBX feature set natively within the Teams applications across desktop, web, and mobile. RingCentral Cloud PBX, it is the perfect accompaniment for your Microsoft Teams deployment. It allows you to augment and elevate your existing Teams investment with true enterprise-grade telephony from a functionality and a robustness and resilience perspective too. It's really a native experience within the Teams desktop, and it's designed with ease of use in mind so that your users can just pick up another channel in Teams, a rich telephony channel, and just run with it and use it because they already know how to use Teams. It's all about the feature-rich PBX capabilities that we bring. I am going to demonstrate some of these use cases to you shortly. So more on that in a moment. And it's really that enterprise-grade PBX platform that lots of you have come to expect in your communications platforms. But believe it or not, it's not just about Teams. We've also got many other integrations for Microsoft. In fact, not just Microsoft, we've got pretty much most of the other SaaS applications covered too. I mentioned earlier, over 200 out-of-the-box integrations can be found in the RingCentral app gallery. Look up ringcentral.com/apps and go and see the vast support of third-party SaaS integrations that we have. The real message here is, however you consume Microsoft or any other SaaS application, we've got a telephony connector for you, providing everything you've come to expect from your PBX system. All of the maturity, but with none of the complexity, and completely in the cloud. So that's the presentation over. I'm now going to move on to the demonstrations. I have 3 demonstrations to show you, and they're all based on use cases. These are use cases that I've heard in my conversations with you and with our partners, and then also from my colleagues in RingCentral. So hopefully that these use cases will also resonate with you in some way too. Okay, use case 1. As an organization, we need to seamlessly embed rich PBX capabilities into Microsoft Teams. So what does that look like? So over on the left-hand side here, you can see my Microsoft Teams desktop application. I'm using a Mac. It's the locally installed version, so not using the browser. First of all, I just wanted to draw your attention to down here in the bottom left-hand corner. This is where you will find the native Microsoft Teams dialer. And one of the places within Teams where you can launch phone calls from. I just wanted to point out this bit here. Your number currently is 0207 082 5579. This is your RingCentral number. So you start to see that, one of the first touch points between Microsoft and RingCentral Cloud PBX here. Your RingCentral number is now present within your Microsoft Teams desktop application. As I mentioned earlier, this is no different to what we do with all of the other integrations that we have into all of the other software applications. What we've done with RingCentral Cloud PBX for Microsoft Teams is we've just added the Microsoft Teams desktop application as another endpoint to that portfolio of hundreds of endpoints. So we can see the RingCentral telephone number appears here within the native dialer. Whenever you make a call from within Teams, this is the number that you will present as your single number, one number kind of single identity approach. And also it's the number that you can be called on directly. I just wanted to highlight that to you when I jump into the administration portal. So this is the RingCentral administration portal where you will administer your Cloud PBX. My internet's going a little bit slow at the moment. But if we click into users, oh look, we've had an update overnight, got some new features, test them out later. You can see that user appears on the RingCentral platform. So just validation that that number is passed across to Teams and is used as your calling identity. From this point onwards, any calls you make will go via Microsoft, will go via the RingCentral network, but using the Microsoft Teams desktop. Some of the other touch points that we have, so first of all, I wanted to talk about voicemail, a really common feature when you think about Cloud PBX. Certainly in the UK, most, if not all, customers, use voicemail in some form or another. So we're able to deliver the voicemail messages from the RingCentral Cloud PBX directly into a Teams conversation. And there are multiple levels to this. So first of all, if I click see more in this conversation, we have the official RingCentral Cloud PBX voice message notification with transcription. So this is an out-of-the-box feature. We can just start to deliver this text message format of a voicemail into the Teams conversation. Personally, I use this a lot because I'm not a massive fan of listening to voicemails. I'd like to read them. So having this text transcription and then delivered to a device or conversation of your choice is quite interesting. But then we can also have the actual voicemail message itself presented within the Teams application, and we can play that message back locally.
Marvin, we've got some fantastic questions coming through on the Q&A. So I just thought perhaps we could just clear some of those, and it might be some
Sure.
things that some of our other attendees are thinking.
Yeah.
One of the questions that I've just answered actually came from Krishna, which is a great question, was around what licensing do you need from the Microsoft side? Do you need the Cloud PBX license to be able to enable all of this? Which the answer is yeah.
Yeah, so we've got different levels of integration on Microsoft. The integration that I'm showing you today is the Cloud PBX for Microsoft Teams integration. Okay, this is essentially a direct routing integration. And for this seamless experience in a Teams desktop, you need to provision the phone system license, either a la carte on its own, or you get that as part of the E5 license with Microsoft. You don't need to you don't need to acquire calling plans on Microsoft. The minutes or the calling plans are included in your RingCentral subscription. And the way that works with RingCentral Cloud PBX is each user, depending on the tier that you subscribe to with RingCentral, gets a set allocation of minutes, but then those minutes are bundled across the account. So you have a big pool of minutes that you use across the account. So somebody might not make many phone calls, 1 month, and somebody else might make a lot. That kind of balances out the way that we, spread the minutes out across the account. Some of the other integrations we have are for customers that, want that rich PBX capability. But they don't. So I had a customer last week said to me, I've got RingCentral. Why would I buy Microsoft Phone System as well? And so for those kinds of use cases, we have another integration for the desktop application where we can launch calls and meetings from Teams using RingCentral. But that integration, rather than it being a SIP integration, which is why you need to provide the phone system license on Microsoft for this integration, that integration uses APIs. And so the requirement for licensing on Microsoft there is that you don't need phone system or calling plans because the APIs are available with your Microsoft subscription anyway. So that option is really popular with Microsoft Teams users who are, really laser focused on reducing cost. So we can help there as well.
We've got one more quick one, and then there's a couple that we'll answer in the Q&A session at the end.
Okay.
Is it still possible to present a main number and not direct dial numbers? I have shift patterns of staff and would like customers to see the main number and not their direct dials. So great question.
Yes, so you can do that when you jump into the Microsoft, the the RingCentral administration portal that provides the ability to customize the number that you present on an outbound call. Ben, can we make a note of who asked that question? I've never tested that actually, but I will test it following this call, and I will provide feedback following this call. But certainly on the RingCentral side, you can change that number. Yes, yeah, 100%.
Perfect, will do.
Okay, awesome. So voicemail messages, transcription, notification, and playback. The second touch point that I wanted to talk about still in this first use cases was around analytics. So quite often, one of the most common questions that we get around reporting is, can you send me that report regularly? Well, yes, we can on the RingCentral platform. We can schedule reports, honestly, literally in seconds. It's really, really easy. Again, going back to, do not underestimate the importance of simplicity. In order to implement something like a scheduled report in RingCentral, you could do it in 30 seconds without any training, really. It's that kind of approach that we take. And you can see here the visualization of these reports. So these are performance reports that are being posted into my Teams conversation. Really, this is all about, if you're a user that lives in Teams, it's all about not leaving Teams. So here we see in this example, it's a report in a spreadsheet format that's been created by RingCentral and then emailed out to the user within Microsoft Teams. So performance-related data delivered to your Teams user. I briefly touched on this earlier. So, one of the really interesting things to me is as software vendors follow our lead and become more and more open, how you can use these SaaS services in symphony or in concert with each other. So, we have multiple ways of integrating, and we're really interested to find out about your use cases. We'll talk a little bit more about that later, but what we do is a lot of discovery on how you work, and the openness of the platform allows us to mold and meld, how the experience is surfaced and visualized on your desktop. So maybe you're, a core system administrator, and you want to change call recording. You can access the RingCentral call recording, the administration portal, and just jump into call recording configuration. I want to record this user's calls. That's it. It's done. And you don't need to leave Teams to do that. From a user perspective, we can add users in 40 countries. The 40 supported countries that I mentioned earlier. We can add those users in seconds as well. So this is all about the admin experience for a user that uses Teams. From a user perspective, we present the same kind of information within the Teams desktop. Maybe as a user, I want to change my voicemail. I'm going on holiday. I want to change how my calls are routed, etc. Maybe I have some business hours I'd like to implement. I think we could all use that in the current work from home period. So yeah, same thing from a user administration perspective as well. This is just a web portal that we're embedding into Teams. Or maybe for a team leader, they would like the ability to search and replay call recordings back from within the Teams desktop as well. So we can embed our search and replay application into Microsoft Teams as well. So that all of this is really all about never leaving Teams, improving that Teams experience, and making it less disjointed. Okay, I'm just going to click to make a call now. So we can see up here in the Teams desktop, I've got a contact. I just wanted to show you the experience itself. Wherever you click, whether it's in contacts on this call button, whether you click on this bit, whether you're in a chat with somebody, and you click on the calling button up here, that call will be, the PSTN call will be launched via RingCentral. I'm just going to click on this for a second and answer that call. So as you can see, it's a completely seamless experience using Microsoft Teams, no retraining, as mentioned earlier, click to call, using Teams. You don't really know that RingCentral is powering the telephony with RingCentral Cloud PBX. All of the controls are there, so you can hold, cold transfer, or maybe you do want to do a warm transfer to somebody, so announce the call. Do notice across here as well, we're going to come back to this bit. This is a separate application that we call heads up display. So this is another RingCentral endpoint. I'll explain this a little bit, but you can see in this application that this user is on a call too. So we'll come back to that in a minute, because this is where you start to see some of the additional rich PBX features that we were talking about earlier. So I'm going to leave that call open, and I'm going to jump to use case number 2. As an organization, we need to cater for all types of users' communications needs. So this comes back to endpoints and integrations. So this is one of the other use cases that we've heard a few times, and that is the use case around team leading, supervision. Can I monitor calls? How can I monitor calls? What else can I do? Can I just listen into that call, or can I speak to my employee as well without the customer hearing me? Or maybe I want to barge into that call. So that feature isn't natively available in Teams. This user could use our heads up display alongside their Teams application to avail themselves of this advanced functionality. So the first thing they can see is are these people on the phone or not? I can see first of all that this user is on an active call, and more equally importantly maybe who they are speaking to. And you can see here straight away we've got a monitor button. So as a team leader, I've decided I want to listen into that call. So I'm just going to click monitor. I'm now monitoring that call in real time. I can also do additional things with this call now. I can opt to upgrade that monitoring session to a whisper just by clicking a button. Or maybe I want to barge into that call and take over the conversation and speak to the customer too. I can do the same thing there as well.
Marvin, we've had a couple of questions around endpoints come through, and the user experience. Well, I'm going to read 2 of them sort of in one breath. One was around, will it work? Will this work with all Teams compatible devices? And then the second question is, can you use a desk phone instead of using a laptop mic and speakers?
Can you use a desk phone instead? So I think that's similar questions.
Yeah.
What endpoints are supported with Microsoft Teams? So just remember that the Teams desktop is essentially connecting to the RingCentral Cloud PBX as an endpoint. RingCentral have a whole portfolio of physical endpoints, IP phones, which are still very, very common. We do see a move to soft phone also in a lot of our customers, but IP phones still really common. So on the RingCentral side of affairs, we have a whole series of endpoints that connect to RingCentral in the same way that this Teams desktop connects to RingCentral. So from a RingCentral perspective, nothing there has really changed. We're using a RingCentral supported endpoint and a RingCentral supported IP phone as well in the IP phone and the Teams desktop itself. We are about to publish a paper on physical endpoint support, the different architecture options as well. So that will probably be, quite a detailed conversation, and I'm happy to have that with you, Ben, if we can take a note of that, and we can follow up with that session later. But high level, lots of people still want to use endpoints. Yes, RingCentral support endpoints, and Teams have their own series of endpoints that they support too.
Fantastic. Thanks, Marvin.
Okay, next up is another use case. So this one's more focused on integrations. So clearly today we have a huge focus on Microsoft. So 365 is the example here. The way that I work as a user, I do actually work in a browser. I try not to download and install applications on my PC. This is quite powerful for me to work in one window, which is a browser with multiple tabs. But also when you think about home workers and what happened with COVID recently, it also gives you a faster route to consuming services as well. So the example I'm using here is a simple Chrome extension. So we've got our own app gallery with more than 200 integrations. You'll also find us in all of the other app galleries as well. So have a look in the Chrome App Store. You will find the 365 integration there. And there are multiple levels to this integration. I do hear from customers a lot that Teams, they're using it, but it still isn't their primary application. They're chatting internally, but they're still spending a lot of time in things like Outlook and calendars. So these integrations are really key so we can cater for all of those users. First up is the embedded soft phone. So here we are embedding voice within the browser. So going back to the RingCentral open platform, our platform is largely built on WebRTC, so it allows us to embed real-time communications into browsers really easily and really quickly. Here is, we spoke about earlier about changing your caller ID. So here's an example of that within the 365 Chrome extension, where any number that's assigned to you as a user or via roles and permissions via your account, you can on a call by call basis decide what number you want to present on an outbound call. We also include a detailed call history, a messaging capability including voice and fax, which is still quite popular, and then contact consolidation across your 365 and RingCentral contacts. You can minimize this soft phone out of the way. You will get a Chrome notification if somebody calls you, where you can answer the call from there. The second layer would be this plugin here, which essentially allows you to really easily and really quickly embed communications capabilities into the browser. This is a RingCentral video meeting, but you'll have the same for Teams. But we're able to bring this voice capability across to the browser as well, not just 365, but anything that's included in the App Store really. And the final use case, which is a really interesting one for me, I've had this with in quite a few conversations recently. Our DR plan needs a DR plan. And what we mean by that is most of us are living our DR plan right now, right? We had to invoke our DR plan a little while ago, and we're kind of implementing that plan right now. What happens if the worst happens and there's an outage and you need a DR plan for your DR plan? And this is a really simple use case where because you are a RingCentral subscriber, you can click on a link and get access to that Cloud PBX functionality. the ability to make calls, to change your outbound number, call history, to access your previous call recordings, to listen to your voicemails, to send and receive faxes, all within a browser tab. Our app, the RingCentral app, which is what you can see now, it is available on a locally installed version of Windows and Mac. This is the browser version. It does not require any installation whatsoever. So in the event of a disaster situation where you need to do something differently, then you can simply click on a link and get access to RingCentral Cloud PBX through a browser tab if you want to do that. If you want to install the app locally, that's also cool. You could also avail yourself of the messaging capability that exists within this app in a disaster. This is also included in your subscription, and also the capability to launch point-to-point video calls, but also to schedule and join RingCentral video calls as well, including access to any recordings that may have happened. So this is the RingCentral app, and this is what a lot of customers are looking at as the DR plan for their DR plan. Finally, I just wanted to show you one final use case, which we have been talking to a customer about this, and that is to embed, using the open capability and nature of Teams and RingCentral, is maybe to embed the RingCentral app within Teams. Now, you might be thinking, why on earth would I want to do that? I've got Teams as a messaging application. So the use case that we went through with the customer was they worked with an external company, contractors. They do a lot of work with them, but those users are on a different domain. And also they have a lot of contractors coming in and going out of conversations quite a lot. So they wanted a really easy way to be able to communicate with those contractors, to add a new contractor, to remove a new contractor, and for those contractors to be able to participate in those conversations really, really quickly. So they decided that what they were going to do was use the RingCentral app within Microsoft Teams, and to add an external participant, you just add anybody's email address. Okay, doesn't like that one for some reason. Okay, I'm already joined. When you add that user is sent a notification link, and to use the RingCentral app either through a browser or download the application, and they're in the conversation in seconds. You can see here, I've actually got 3 guest users that are added to this conversation. So this was their use case. We want to be able to really quickly add people into this conversation and remove them. They don't want to pay for it. They don't want to download any software. We just need to give them a really easy way to collaborate with us. And so that was their use case. So thank you for watching and listening. We've got so much more than this. We've got lots of use cases that we've defined with our customers. We simply couldn't fit everything into 1 hour. We are really interested to hear your use cases and to start to understand how we can help you. So make sure you reach out to your Bikes account manager and say hello to RingCentral. Thank you.
Thanks, Marvin. We've got a few questions and just a little bit of time just to cover some of those off, which I'll. Do you want to have a quick look at some of those?
Yeah, can do. Can the provisioning be done at a country level in a global deployment? So we can provision based on directory integration. So we can integrate into things like Azure AD and other SAML 2.0 sources. Yeah, we have flexibility in the provisioning in that sense. Yes. Next up, one of the challenges that I'm facing with Teams telephony deployment is that I have a dependency on a central support team to create users, assign numbers. Can this be remediated by RingCentral? Yes, so let's just jump back to the administration portal. In terms of system administration, we have a feature called roles and permissions. Roles define what you can do as a user when you log into RingCentral. It may be that you're just a standard telephony user. You just want to make and receive calls, internal calls, external calls, maybe a bit of video, but you don't have international dialing access. We've got another profile that gives that user international dialing access. These roles are completely granular. So all of the features that you find in the administration portal, you can create new roles. So we could, in agreement with your central support team, we could create a role for you on the platform that would only allow you to do that and make calls and make international calls. So we can get really granular with the roles. We can agree with you what the roles need to look like, who needs those roles, and then we assign those roles to users, and then you can then simply log into the web portal and start doing the things that you just mentioned, assigning numbers, creating users, etc.
Mark, can we jump down to the voice recording question? It's a two-parter. It's a good one.
Okay. Voice recording. Are you able to? Voice recording. Are you able to search for keywords used within a conversation? And are call transfers logged with the call recording metadata? So I'll answer the second part of the first question first. So within the analytics platform, that is where all of the metadata from all RingCentral calls will be stored, and you can pull live reports, performance reports. You've also got the call log as well, which is more of a tabular view of a call log, whereas the live reports are more of, and the performance reports are more about agent performance, etc. So all of that data is stored in the analytics platform, yes. In terms of searching for keywords used within a conversation, so that isn't a native part of the PBX itself. But what I am doing is working with a third-party integrator that provides a layer of AI over all interactions. So this includes RingCentral phone calls, chats, videos, faxes, but also Microsoft Teams chats, phone calls, videos. We, using this integration as a connecting dot between RingCentral and Microsoft Teams, again, we can pull all of those recordings on any channel, and we can apply AI over that, and we can also augment that with a notification capability. So when a compliance issue is recognized by the bots or by the AI, that interaction is routed into a work queue for a compliance advisor to review. So we've got lots of functionality that we can do there. I've got a demonstration on that I'd love to show you. I don't have time to show it you today, but it's quite compelling. I hope that answers question one. Voice recording, is it possible to flag? Okay. I just answered that one. So is it possible to flag calls that include certain keywords, both proactively and reactively, using voice recordings? So we would use our third-party integrator for that, and it will connect across RingCentral and Microsoft Teams seamlessly. They also have an integration into Redbox. So I was speaking to a customer last week who has a Redbox call recorder that's on site. It's not recording calls anymore. It's just got a load of data on there that they need to keep for a long term. So what we're going to do as part of this project is, first of all, we're going to migrate all of the Redbox call recordings into the cloud with a 7-year retention policy. We're then going to connect the integration to Microsoft Teams and RingCentral to capture all of the voice calls, all of the video calls, all of the chats, including emojis and GIFs that you share. All of that is captured within it. Run AI over it and proactively notify. I hope that answered your question. I'd love to show you that demo. One of the challenges that I'm facing with okay, we've answered that one. Next up from Marie, I currently use the auto attendant options and call queues within Microsoft Teams for my team to handle our incoming calls. So would those still be in use, or would I need to create all those within the RingCentral portal? So you can do it both ways, Marie. You can use that capability on Microsoft. One of our differentiators is the richness of the PBX features. So you will find most likely that not only can you do what you need to do today, but some additional features that you might want to do but are not able to do, you can do that in RingCentral as well. So we have the flexibility to do it whichever is the best way. Let's put it that way. I hope that answers your question. Next up from Marie again, would the subscription only include one application integration, or could you have multiple? So the user can choose which app they use most to handle calls. We use Zendesk for receiving emails and Teams for making calls. Yeah, so that is how we view integrations. What we see is within, any individual customer, we see different kinds of users, and different users use different systems, but also more importantly, workflow is becoming increasingly important. How do I move through those systems, or how do I avail myself of all the features and functionality I need without flicking backwards and forwards and all of that kind of stuff? How can I create an epic workflow? The integrations in the app gallery, you could absolutely have a portion of users using the Zendesk integration, and then maybe Teams next to it, doing a bit of chat and that kind of stuff. And you could make a phone call from Teams or from Zendesk. You could do it either way. Dynamics CRM, we support that as well. I do want to check on the Microsoft Dynamics CRM integration. I know that was a work in progress a while back, but certainly from a RingCentral perspective, we have an out-of-the-box Dynamics CRM integration that will be included as part of your subscription. Click, connect, use. Okay, anonymous attendee. Is it possible to set up group pickup for a team? Okay, so this is a feature that we support on RingCentral in the administration portal under phone system and groups. We have the option to create different kinds of groups. One of those is a pickup group, and so you can configure users into those groups, and that creates that pickup group for you. This is another feature that I've not tested from the Teams desktop. In my mind, I can't see why it wouldn't work, but there is essentially a code that you can dial to invoke that pickup feature. But I will test that alongside the other feature a little bit later. But certainly on the RingCentral side, we fully support pickup groups. Yeah. Marie Bailey, as I say, consultant transfer is not working in Teams for us. If it is an external number, we can only blind transfer for calls, not on Teams numbers. So would RingCentral have this option for external calls? That's an interesting one. So you can transfer internal calls, but you can't transfer external calls. I don't know if you have the phone system license, Marie, and whether that is a feature of the Microsoft PBX or the Microsoft phone system. You can certainly check that out. If it is a dependency on the Microsoft phone system license, with the seamless integration, you would add the phone system license, and then you would get this feature with external calls. Yes, things like transfer blind transfer, announce transfer, all of those kinds of call controls, to me, are some of the most basic and fundamental call controls in the history of telephony. So there's no question whether we support them, and I would fully expect you to have that option with the RingCentral integration as well. Certainly, 100%. Yeah. Are there any integrations with voice recognition's capabilities to assist with client authentication? So I think, Colin, what you're maybe asking about here is voice biometrics. So the way that we implement authentication platform, so we implement authentication on our platform is different ways. So you've got the standard, log in with your telephone number, log in with your email address, log in with your Google credentials, those kind of things. That's what's out of the box. Additionally, we integrate with third-party identity providers, so things like Azure AD, Okta is a really big one for us. We've got a big integration with Okta. Those kinds of authentication features are generally not provided by RingCentral per se. They're provided by the identity provider, things like two-factor authentication via SMS and things like that. So it really comes down to the authentication or the identity provider that you are using for authentication. I hope that answers your question. Excuse me. And finally, oh no, not finally, two more. Do you support ACD, so call distribution? On the UCaaS platform, we support call queues that have a rotating distribution. So by rotating, you might know this more as most idle agent. So the concept here is I've got 10 people, all of them are answering phone calls. One of those people has not answered a phone call for the longest out of everybody, so they will get the next call. So we call that rotating within RingCentral. It's more commonly known within the industry as most idle agent. The most idle agent is going to get the next call. We also support simultaneous distribution, where everybody will ring and it's first one to answer it. And we also support a sequential distribution where it will ring the first person in the list first, then the second person, then the third person. The next call will follow the same pattern. We also combine our analytics platform with that too. So again, not leaving the team's desktop. I can drill into performance reports from here too. How is my team performing? How many customers have we answered? How many customers have we not answered? Why? Did we have no agents available? Is that why? So again, in the interest of openness, all of the analytics is embeddable within the team's desktop as well. If you want to do that, there are other ways to consume these interfaces if you so wish. Here's what I was talking about: simplicity of use. Do not underestimate that. What are the KPIs I'm interested in? Well, I'm not interested in that one. I'm actually not sure what this one means. So I'm going to click Show KPI Description. Average inbound and outbound calls daily per user. Okay, yeah, we'll keep that one. I'm also interested in average hold time and the number of answered calls. Click Done. Those KPIs just become available straight away. You have tabular views, you have trending views. So this is our contact center light functionality. Let's say on top of this, we are a contact center company. We have a full solution with workforce management, quality monitoring, workforce optimization, all of that kind of good stuff as well. Hopefully that answered your question.
Marvin, we're just coming up to the hour, so I think there's a question in there from Colin. If we could cover that one off, then we'll send everybody on their way.
Okay, so Colin, Colin earlier talked about authentication of user. Do we have an integration to support to verify if somebody calling is actually who they say they are? That's not something that we have as an out-of-the-box feature. I'm not sure, to be honest, Colin. I've not looked at the app gallery from that perspective. Feel free to go to ringcentral.com/apps. If you have any particular vendors in mind, just punch their name into the search box at the top, or look down the left-hand side and you will see you can filter the integrations based on vertical market. Are you interested in bots, AI, CRM systems? So see what you can find. And if you have any other questions following that, my name is Marvin Tress. Contact your Bytes account manager. Let's say hello to RingCentral. Thank you very much for listening.
Okay, like Marvin said, if you do have any sort of further questions, then please do contact your Bytes account manager, and obviously we'll look to share the recording. I know that a couple of people messaged to say that they missed a few bits of it, so we will be sharing that as well. But yeah, thank you very much for your time today, and Marvin, thank you very much for presenting as well. Have a good day, everyone.
Thank you. Have a great day. Bye.